And good evening and welcome to Monday Night Live. I'm Steve Leahy. I just had to check to make sure the mic was on so that you can hear me. What is going on, everyone? How was your Monday? Yay, here we are. Yeah, we got some stuff to do. We're going to paint. We're going to give away some artwork. I have some new text so I can watch comments, which will be fun. And that's all. That's all I got. A huge thank you last week to the people that hit that like and subscribe button. We got a bunch of new people on, so that makes me very happy. Also, a gigantic thank you to the people that gave super chats last week or super thanks, which were Michael McClung, Bug, Gary Shees, and Brian Moore. You guys keep the lights on, and I'm super happy about that. So thank you. Just a couple little bits of housekeeping. We are over on YouTube now, and YouTube does ads. I'm sorry for that. There's really nothing I can do about that. In order to be monetized, those ads have to be here for these live streams, and that's important to keeping the lights on here. The only thing I can say is I use YouTube a lot. Personally, you use YouTube a lot, and I don't want to sound like a commercial, but it's one of the few premium subscriptions that I have that I really enjoy. And when you're a premium member, when you pay for the subscription for YouTube, all those ads go away. So I watch a lot of YouTube, and that's nice. So something to consider if you find yourself on YouTube a lot. Other than that, I've set it to the lowest setting. So while there are ads, those are as few as I can get in there, and I don't choose them, they just pop up. So yeah. I got some questions that were asked last week that I missed. I'm going to address those as we go because they are kind of go with what we are doing tonight. So with no further ado, we'll get to it. I'll just switch to this one here. All right. So you'll notice the painting is already out on the board. We're going to be working on this one because I've done a bunch of stuff on it, and I want to keep working on this. I have something else to mention today too. Let me say hello to everyone. Mark R. Yes, it is time, Mark. Welcome. Dan Mayer, what's up? Ian, what's going on? Giant Robaggy, that's your new name. Ryan, what's going on, buddy? Mr. Barker. Oh, man, hold on to that, whatever you're holding on to for the storm, Brian. Hope you're good. Grumpy, what's happening? Mr. Shees, hello. Ian Hart, hello again. And yeah, all right, good. And Grumpy starts off right off the bat with a 543 suggestion, which is amazing. That's how you get into win, and I'll mention that as we go for the new people that jump on. All you got to do is type 543 and then give me a suggestion to paint. Wayne, what's up, buddy? Now, normally this is the part of the show where I would show you the 543s that I painted for the week for tonight. However, I did not paint any this week. And the reason why is because I was working on this guy. Let me jump back to this real quick. This painting is gigantically important to me for a lot of reasons, but one of the big reasons is I'm going to be using this one for exhibitions during this year, and I really want to get it done. We are midway through April now, and most of the 25 paintings that I'd be putting in shows are already done. And this special painting has been in the works since about 2005. And I keep putting it off, and I keep changing it, and I keep just kind of shoving it aside. And you know what? Things are the way they are right now, and it needs to be done. So in order to do that, I had to free up some time. And unfortunately, the way that I free up time is that I don't do the 543s. The 543s for the week take me an entire day to do, and then it takes me a half a day to set them all up. So by not doing them, it saves me a bunch of time. So that does not mean that we're not giving one away this week. We are giving one away. However, you will be able to choose from any of the 543s I have on the site. And as you can see, there are a plenty of them that you can choose from. These are all on my site, and there's a ton of them that are just on there, and they're in good shape, and they're all on there. And yeah, so that's what I was thinking about doing. There is a couple weeks coming up here and there where I'm going to do the same thing, where we'll still give away a painting. Everything will work the same way. However, you'll be able to choose from the ones on the site. There won't be 3 new ones. So that's what's going on with that. All right. Yes, GC, there are a few. We've been doing this for a while now, and oh, let me try that one. We've been doing this for a while now, and not all of them sell, not all of them are given away, and just over the time that we've been doing them, they've just been building up. So, which brings me to my next little bit of housekeeping, and you've noticed it on the pinned comment if you saw it, and I promise we're going to get to painting very shortly, but I want to get through this too. Last week, it was asked if I was going to, if my paintings were going to go up in price. I'll switch back to this one. My paintings are going to go up in price because of the current administration's tariffs on the entire world. And of course, I said, no, that's not going to happen. And I thought I'd take it one step further. So, and this is just a you guys thing. This is just a live stream thing. I'm not going to make a post of this or anything. But if you type in the code tariff on my website, you will get 20% off any 543. So you pick all your 543s, and it's not just one. If you pick, 6 of them, it'll apply that 20% to those 543s. So you can save a bunch of money on those paintings, and you can have a blast. So that is going to go till I don't want to do it anymore. So who knows how long that's going to be. So take advantage of it quick. But tariff is the one. And I'll leave that. It's on the pinned comment if you forget what it is, and I'll mention it again. But it's just tariff. Just go to my website, pick your 543s, type in tariff, and it'll give you 20%. All right, so let's get to it. So again, no paintings to show you for 543s, so we're just going to get right into it. And I'll show you kind of what I've done so far. We did this little triangle last week. We started it, and I've been working on this all week. So this is what I got done in a week, roughly. One of the questions I got was from Ryan last week, and Ryan asked if larger paintings go faster than smaller paintings with the detail and everything. And it's kind of a yes and no answer for this. What I find is I have less mistakes in a bigger painting, even though it's as detailed as a smaller painting. With the smaller paintings, I have to do a lot of back and forth to get things right. I'll put in a mark, it won't be right, and then I'll have to fix it. You can see that every Wednesday night on the Tokyo painting, like this one. Here is the Tokyo painting, by the way. So a painting like this, which is really small and loaded with detail. Switch to this camera, maybe this will be a little bit better. There's a lot of back and forth with this, so I find it, the small paintings take just about the same time as a larger painting does because of that. So like I said, it's a yes and no answer. They take about the same time for different reasons. There's a lot of detail here, but with this, there's not a lot of push and pull. I can kind of put it in and it goes in the right way from the start. This one, because it's so tiny, there's a lot of messing around with. So that's how that kind of pans out. The other great question or comment that I had last week that I did not, I know this, and I didn't really do the right thing last week, but you guys were great. I tried the brand new, where is it? Got a bottle of brand new reducer in 4021, which is the go-to reducer now. Poco, what's up, buddy? And I used it with the green, and it sprayed great. And then I used it with the black, and it didn't spray so well for me. Well, there's a big thing with this reducer, and it's true with the other reducer too, the old 4011. You mix it into the paint, and then ideally you let it sit for about 15 to 20 minutes. And a bunch of people mentioned that last week. And it was too late for me because I just put it in the brush and started going. So what I did during the week was I pre-mixed all my blacks like I normally do. This is 1 to 20, 1 to 1, all these different mixes that I usually use for black. And once this had a chance to sit around for, the recommended time, like 15 minutes, this stuff sprays great now. It sprays just as good as the green. So all those little weird difficulties I was having last week was only because the reducer didn't have enough time to melt in. So I've replaced all my premixed bottles with 4021, and it's working out great. So I think that's all the housekeeping I got. So we're just going to get into it and start painting. I don't really have a plan for tonight. I have the shaded part of it that I need to do. Let me I figure out what we're doing here. Because again, I didn't really have a plan. I was just kind of working on it. What we'll probably do is work on where the 1 is right here. And yes, Kyle, what's up, buddy? Welcome. And get in your 543 suggestions. If you are new and you want to win a painting, all you do is type in 543 and then give me a suggestion for a painting. And at some point, I'm going to do a project from one of Poco's designs. He's got a YouTube channel as well, and his suggestion last week was that I do one of his designs, and I'm going to try to make that happen too as I get into it. Michael McClung, what's up, buddy? Yeah, let's get ready. Let's do it. All right. So let me show the reference for those who don't know what the hell I'm doing, which most of you should assume that I don't know what the hell I'm doing. This is my reference photo. I took this way back in 2005, and it's been a painting, like I said, that's been in the works for a long time. It has a lot of meaning to me. I know it looks like just two crumpled up dollar bills, but it came at a kind of a difficult time for me, and it was both good and bad, really good and really bad at the same time. And as I kind of move in and out of good times and bad times, this little painting kind of keeps popping back up. So now is the time to finish it, because I find myself kind of moving around through a bunch of different things, and it just needs to be done. So what I decided to do was I decided to work on the back bill first, and you can see that one's kind of in the shadow of the other one. And I've also already done the light parts of it, and now I'm kind of moving into the shadowed parts of it. And the only other thing I can mention out of the gate, if you missed it, the part that I'm going to be working on today, this part right in here, I based the whole painting. The bills were done in this. Was it the whole painting? I think it was. I think I did the entire panel in this mix of Autoborn Sealer, which is Autoborn Sealer white, a little bit of Autoborn Sealer black, and then a touch of a little bit of yellow ochre, which gave it this kind of yellowish gray feel. So what that color is, that's throughout the entire painting. You can see a little bit better here. So this bill obviously is it. The background was all the same thing. It was all the same color. And what that color is the shadow color of what we're right about to do now. You can kind of see it a little bit better now in that picture, where that 1 is on the crumpled up bill in the back. That's the color that I chose to be the base color for this whole thing. And now you're pretty much caught up if you haven't been hanging around. Dan! CMB sprays okay with 1-to-1, would have thought. No. Yeah, for sure, Dan. 1-to-1, I would, with the B, I would use 1-to-5 and 1-to-10 and 1-to-20 with the B. And then 1-to-1 would be the Micron C and above to get detail. So you are 100% right. Brian Dunbar! What's up, Brian? I hope you're doing well. No. Oh, and I haven't seen Brian Moore on yet, but Brian keeps asking about the point systems. The points are updated. I'm keeping track of them. I'm having a little bit of trouble taking the spreadsheet graph and turning it into a file that I can post. So I'll figure that out, but I am keeping track of the points for you guys. All right. So because this bill has the base of that color already, it actually makes it pretty easy to kind of start rolling through it. What I need to decide, though, is on all these little, like these etching lines here, if they're going to be a little bit lighter, and I think they are. So I kind of dropped the ball a little bit this week. I accidentally posted Tuesday's time-lapse early. It was supposed to be a members only thing, but if you want to know what it's like to be a member, now you do, because you saw the video early. And I did a time-lapse of this whole section up here that you can't see. So I'm going to kind of give you a... sorry, well, that went down wrong. I'm going to give you kind of a recap of that. The other thing I have, which I'm super excited about, is I have a can of, well, I have several of them, but Birdfish is a local brewery here in Columbiana, and they have 2 hip to sip. And I was at a sports banquet this weekend, and they were supposed to have this on tap, and they didn't, and I was sad So I went out and I got a 4-pack. So that's what tonight's cheers is. So cheers to that. And Michael, your paintings are coming out awesome. It was great hanging out Saturday and watching you paint. All right, let me do this. I'm going to do this. I don't know if this is going to work, but we're going to try it. No, it's not what I wanted at all. That's what I wanted. Yeah, it is just kind of in the wrong spot. All right. There we go. Palette. So what I'm going to do is, first off, I'm going to put my gloves on, and then I'm going to pre-paint these little lines a little bit. And this will just help me kind of keep them in the right spot when I go to put the darker area in between. And I'll kind of explain what I'm doing and why I kind of came up with this and doing it this way. So what I need is a little bit of white. I'm running out of room on this palette. A little bit of yellow ochre. Wait, do I need yellow ochre for this or blue? Actually, I don't need anything. Check that. White and a little bit of black. Now, I immediately defaulted to yellow ochre because in the light parts of these bills, they have a very warm tan kind of feel to them. However, in the shadow of these, you get a little bit of a blue feeling. So I'm going to grab a little bit of this phthalo blue and mix that in here to give me kind of a bluish gray. A little bit lighter than that. If you guys have any questions, shell them out. So now what I'm going to do over here is I'm just going to kind of paint in those lines. Now, the big question is, if you're kind of hanging out, is why not just paint the field in the background black, and then paint the lines on top, and then you're done. So there's a couple of reasons for that. And in this section, it's not going to make the same kind of sense because it's got a blue shift to it anyway. But up in here on the top part of it where it's not blue, if I actually can kind of see it hopefully in these lines here, because I did go over these with white. When you paint white, even with an paintbrush or an airbrush over black, it turns like blue. So it's a blue shift that happens through the transparent paint. And I don't want that at all on this whole thing, because if not, this whole thing would appear, like anywhere I painted white would look like pale blue. So you can counter that pretty easily by adding a little bit of like a warm color like orange. However, I really wanted this stuff to be bright white in the light. So if you have to add orange to it, you're going to take away from that a little bit. So by putting in the white first and then painting the black around it, the white stays white. I know it seems like a lot more work, and it is, but in the end, it really has a much different look than if you go and just paint white over, the darker color. Where am I at here? I want to make sure I'm doing the right thing. It's that way. Okay. Now down in the shadow here, the hatch lines, these white lines do shift to a cooler blue anyway because of the shadow. So I could get away with it here, but instead of losing that consistency in the way that it's painted, I'm going to do the same kind of method to get this side done down here. If I do it, like if I paint it black and then do the white lines over, different than the way I did up here, you'll see the difference. It'll have a slight different feel in the way that it's kind of came together. And I don't want that. I really want it to just seem like what it's supposed to look like, which is these, this shadow in this dollar bill. Let's see, we get these cool little extra things and a few extra things there. All right. And I'll say hi to everyone. Tim, John Luke Smith, Angus Watt. What's up, Angus? What's up, Steve? Enzo, what's happening? And this is great. Now I have my old Samsung tablet, and so I have that for the reference photo, and then I also have the my new iPad for the comments, and that's what the new tech was that I was talking about earlier, which is great. So now I can, I don't have to work from a weird photograph like I was before. And I also want to mention too, if you haven't had a chance to look at Timothy John Luke Smith's work, which most of the people here have, you are doing yourself a disservice if you don't watch his videos and also just check out what he's been doing. The reason why I bring him up because I was introduced to Tim from a series of pastel paintings that he did of a portrait in the circle part of a bill, and then he had the rest of the bill around it, and it was they were pretty awesome paintings. So so that's like I said, that's what made me think of it when I saw Tim jump on. Bug, you're the man. Bug, the great traveler, the one who has finally made it home. Bug's been traveling and got stuck in Boston. Not even in Boston. He was in Boston, but he was stuck in Logan Airport for like 7 hours yesterday or Saturday trying to get home. So it was funny because I caught up with him on one of the feeds. I think I saw him on 2 feeds. I think I saw him on Michael's feed and then he was on Tim's feed too. All right, so what I'm doing is these are basically just the highlights. And again, I'm kind of knocking them out first, kind of getting them done first. 10 hours. Too bad you didn't have more time, and I'm sure your travel will take you back there, Bug, but yeah. Yeah, I wasn't kidding. My studio was in Dorchester, which is basically the southern side of Boston. So for me, driving distance, the airport's from the studio was about 10 minutes away, without traffic, of course. With traffic, it could have taken 6.5 hours to get to the airport. But on a Saturday, had I been there, I could have just shot it and hung out, which would have been fun. All right, so again, just kind of hitting the what's ultimately going to be the brightest areas of this thing. And I'm just going to pick at this, and then we'll kind of move around into different stages of this, because obviously I could just do all this across the whole shadowed part of it. But once we get a few of these in, I'll move on to the next section just so you can kind of see how it all comes together. But again, normally what I would do is I would just kind of do all this everywhere in this whole area. Da 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 da. We need a hold on. Ha! My browser just asked if I wanted to restart the computer. Let's not do that. All right, and since I didn't see Brian here, we're gonna Max Thrasher, what's up, buddy? We're gonna make Bug the our official admin for today. And Bug, if you got to run, I say it all the time. Whoever is made the moderator, don't feel like you have to. If you have stuff to do and have to bail, don't worry about it. It's just kind of an honor bestowed upon members who hang out. So yeah, Bug is on your channel twice. Yeah, he's an amazing supporter, and as soon as he can get all of his painting area up and running, I know he's working on it. But I know he's also been banging on getting stuff done. So it'll be cool to see what he puts out there. Yeah, maybe we'll do the I won't do the lines like outside here. I'll just start, because this is going to take a while to do just what I did here to finish it. So I don't want to get too far, all over this thing and then have to leave you guys with, not quite done stuff. Because I want to get into a lot of the airbrushing, the shadows and everything to kind of show you how this comes together. This part of the bill is actually, this is the shadow of the bill in front of it. So it is kind of has a kind of a, I just got to show you. It's neat. It's it moves between like a cooler blue and then the reflection of this warm teak desk. So you get a lot of different, it's a nice interplay between orange and blue, which are complementary, which shouldn't, they kind of fight each other. But in this case, they really work well together. Yes, you are blue, Dave. That means you have the power. I don't know how it works. I've never been a moderator on someone else's channel, but apparently you can kick people off. You can put them in timeout. I don't know, all kinds of fun stuff. So use your power wisely, because with great power comes great responsibility, as Uncle Ben always said. Oh, too hip to sip is so good. All right. I got that, I get that, I get that. I really should do these, but I'm not going to do those because I'll just do inside that. Let's work on this one, I think, because this one has a lot of the stuff that's going on everywhere in it. Although I definitely wouldn't have worked this way originally. I mean, when I was doing this, because like I said, there's a lot of the same elements across the whole thing, this whole area, and it would make sense to do them all in order, but I'm not entirely sure what I can get through in this one feed, so we want to give you guys stuff to look at. Next week, I'll have a smaller, quicker project to do. If you guys have any suggestions, if you'd like to see something specific, you can always just send me a message, or there is a soapbox post on the comments section here on YouTube. You can also put your suggestions in for now over there. That way I'll get them. So that's good. Grumpy. You have to be, as much as I love Grumpy, and that Grumpy's all over the place and supporting everything, you do have to be a member. What could go wrong member to be a moderator. So we'll get Grumpy there. All right, that's good. That's good. So next thing I want to do is I want to kind of do the darker areas. See all these darker areas in between all these. Now there are a couple ways that I can get those done. Actually, before I do that, let me clean up these, because you can see this. Hopefully you can see this. These couple right here, they're kind of transparent, and there's a spot in them that's blue because of that blue shift. So I need to get rid of that. And the only way to get rid of that is to make sure that the white is at 100% opacity. So I painted them once already, and I have to go in maybe 1 or 2 times more to cover that, so that those are completely white and no blue in them. And again, that's why I kind of load the deck here on these. It would be in shambles. I love it. That's okay, because you just keep saying, what could go wrong? What could go wrong? All right. So to get the black done in between here, I'm going to start with the airbrush. And the reason for that is because it's nice and smooth. It'll kind of block out some of these lines, but also take away some of the harshness of this paintbrush line. So again, it would be easier, well, I'll show you real quick. Grab a little bit of black on this brush. So it would be easy to go in here and just start painting them like this. But what happens is, as I do that, and this isn't very thick, let's thicken that up a little bit. So what happens is, when I'm done doing it this way, I'll have these lines and the spaces between, they'll be very, very sharp edged, and they'll be very, very clean. And that's not really what I want. I want to have an element of softness to this. I mean, it's going to be pretty tight. It's going to be just like this when it's done. So it is tight, but there is a softness to it that you can't get just with the airbrush. I mean, just with the paintbrush. So that's why I'm going to kind of go in first with the airbrush and kind of get this started that way. And now I can get Patricia, what's up? What's up, Patty? And JC's nickname is Shambles. Nice. Let's do 1 to 10. 1 to 10 seems to be working. I was expecting things to work a little bit differently too with this reducer. I was expecting to be able to get a little bit more control out of the thicker mixes, like the 1:5 and 1:1. However, they pretty much work the same way as my older mixes, or the same as those older mixes. I'm gonna get you guys a lot closer now too, because like I said, I wasn't quite sure what I was going to be doing, but now that I have a good idea of what I'll be working on, I can move you guys in so you can get a little bit better view here. And again, while I'm doing this, I'll do this so you don't have to go on the ride. Oh, no, not that one. Again, if you're hanging out with us, what do I want to do here? This one. And you want a great deal on a 543 painting. I'm using the tariff code. Just type in tariff on the website at the end of your order, and it'll give you 20% off any 543 that you choose. And I don't have a time limit on this right now. I'm just going to pull it down when the time is right, so I don't really know when that is, so take advantage of it. Alrighty. So you see how sharp those little diamonds are that I painted in? Show you the difference when you airbrush them in. Now, they're still pretty sharp, but they're not going to be crazy. And thank you, Bug. Yes, please hit the like button. So what I'm going to do to make sure that I get this working, I don't want to start like on a super detail, so I'm going to see if I can pick a spot like here where there's just kind of a softer black edge, and this will let me kind of get the airbrush going, make sure it works the way I'm expecting it to work, and see how it's working. If the airbrush isn't going to work for me, I want to make sure I almost test it out first. I know testing out should happen on a different piece of paper, but what could go wrong? Poco, I gotta touch base with you then so I could see about hooking up and getting one of your designs to do as a 543. All right, so once I get rolling on this, you can see the differences. I kind of roll around on the outside of these ones I just did, the paintbrush ones, how this is a little bit softer. And I'm not necessarily worrying too much about, making sure they're exact. I mean, I want to get them as close as I can. However, if there's, little extra bits or fuzz or whatever, I'm not overly worried about that, or if it's not quite perfectly diamond shaped, because I am going to go back into these and hit them with the paintbrush again. And what that'll do in the end is it'll be a nice blend of the sharpness of the paintbrush against the softness of the airbrush. And what I'll do is I'll leave these three in the middle so you can kind of see the difference as we go along. Kyle gave all the likes. That's awesome. And by the way, to the people like Kyle and Gary and the other people who have won, I love that you guys are still throwing in your 543 suggestions. They obviously can't win. Ooh, and I have another bit of housekeeping that I need to take care of. I was going to switch to the other camera, but I'm just going to keep painting. Last week we had Scott Anderson win one of the 543s. So what I didn't realize, and it was an error on my part, Scott has already won a 543 for this year, and I don't think he's picked it yet. I gotta get a hold of him. So I wrote it down. I think he won on the 20th of January. So as a result, we're going to give away 2 paintings today, which would have been Scott's painting from last week, the one he won, because he was ineligible to win 2 in 1 year. So we're going to give away 2 paintings tonight, just so you know. And we're going to draw them off of the list from this week. So now, sometimes, like just happened, you get a little blowout. Again, it's not overly crazy that these have to be perfect. And I'll show you why when we get there. Patrick, what's up? Mr. Grits and NyQuil. What's up, Patrick? So as you can see, like when we were messing with this new reducer last week, and I was having a little bit of difficulty with the black. That is no longer the case, because this stuff, I mixed my new mixtures up this morning, so they've been sitting around all day, and even when I was using them this afternoon, it was a night and day difference. So yeah, the moral to that story is listen to what Createx and the other fine people that use this paint have said, and when you mix your paint, try to let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes. You're not going to notice it on like thicker mixes. Like if you're just going to block in like a background, you can mix your reducer in and you can go. It's going to spray okay, or well enough for you to get what you need to get done. But if you're doing this kind of stuff where you're right on the thing and you need like that super fine atomization, let it sit for like 10 to 15 minutes. And you will not be disappointed. So I have a lot of work to do with this stuff to really kind of give you a feel for, what I think is different about it, or, where it works. But again, right out of the gate, it's pretty damn cool. So yeah, Bug, I have no idea how it works. So you're going to have to figure it out, man. And I'm sure if, someone in the chat wouldn't mind you practicing on them, but yeah, it's basically adds you as the moderator so that if Ian's girlfriend comes back, you could take care of them. For the moderators, we have a great group here, and we usually do, so the need for a moderator isn't that great, which I love. I'm just running around the number one now, obviously. However, you may find as we move along that the need for an actual moderator will probably get there. The internet is a breeding ground of interesting people, and some people have things to say that maybe are not very nice, However, for here, for here, I think if someone has a dissenting opinion, as long as they do it with respect, you don't really have to shut them down. However, the common sense rules here, if someone's verbally abusive, attacks another member, that's grounds for dismissal. We are a great group here. We're a happy group of people, and if someone has an issue, they can find somewhere else to be. And if they can't do that on their own, we can certainly help them out. But if someone has a differing opinion, then, absolutely they get to hang around and say what they believe. I'm okay with that. The other thing is this is a a fun time to get away from all the other crap that's going on in the world. So I'm trying to keep it away from the other things. Not to say that those things aren't important, but sometimes we need to just kind of hang out and enjoy life. You know what I mean? It's important. We need to deal with the stuff, but sometimes you need to put the bag down. You know what I'm saying? So that's what my hope is for this channel, that we can just kind of enjoy the art and talk about art and do all that. So, all right. Yay, I'm going to keep going here. Rick Latta, what's up? Any threats? Yes, there are no threats. We don't want any of that. But yeah, I mean, we will, like I said, I have a baby channel, and it doesn't garner very much attention from, the troll works of the internet. Although, as things grow, I've seen some of the people I follow, some of the sweetest people on the internet get, leveled by people who just want to troll to be trolls. So we will burn that bridge as we get to it, I suppose. I am knock on wood, I am very happy to be relatively troll free for the most part. I get the random Ray shells, but that's just because Ian wasn't treating her right. I don't know what Ian was doing. He should have taken her out to dinner more often, told her that he loved her. I don't know. Something. But man, she was on a tear. All right. Yeah, that's going. That's going. So can you still see the difference between these 3 bright ones in the middle versus all these? Still kind of sort of the same effect, right? But the other ones have a much softer feel to them. And what makes that really nice in the end is that it won't feel like this thing is cut out, because there is an element of we can't focus on everything. You know what I mean? You can't get everything really sharp. And when you do get everything sharp in your image, it makes it feel really fake. It makes it feel unnatural. And we do not want that. The L word, it's serious. I know it is. London Pen, what's up? A quick kind of spoiler for London Pen. I have decided that the next open studio, right now it's the Tokyo painting, but the next open studio I'm going to paint London Pen's paint shell. So London Pen had sent me 3 blank fountain pen bodies. And I did one of them, and there was a couple of videos, which soon you won't be able to see because Facebook Live is going to pull them down. But for my next open studio, I'm going to paint one of his pens. I think it'd be fun to do a 3D object. I haven't done that yet on an open studio. So when we're done with Tokyo, we'll be moving on to that. So if you're watching Open Studio, you have that to look forward to. All right, I've got the airbrush rolling, so I'm just going to kind of keep going. These little filigrees down here have a neat kind of carved shading on them. And again, this is where the airbrush excels. This etching that's on this part is kind of out of focus. So I can really put in this pattern very accurately and softly, which is great. The other thing too is there's this kind of shadow around these carved filigrees here, or leaves, or whatever you call them. So I can also add that. I don't want to go too crazy on that because I have to finish this this etching up here first. But we can do it. We can make it happen. And again, what's nice is this base color, the underpainting that I used is the color for this part of the bill, which is great. So it makes this part of it easy, where the other part was like up above in the light areas. I couldn't really get away with doing this because I had to paint the bright parts too, which I was going to show you, but I was having so much fun working on it, I just blasted through it. But again, if you want to see it, you can just check out the time-lapse video for this week. And you can see how I kind of did the lighter areas first and then kind of filled in the details around it. And, all those things. The things, all of the things. Still at about 35 pounds of air. With this Micron B, you couldn't tell. It only sounds like 10. This little guy really processes air very, very efficiently, just like the paint. So 35 pounds of pressure sounds like, 10 pounds of pressure. Where if I plug in the, where is it? Where is it? Where'd it go? Oh, here it is. So if I plug in the bigger Eclipse, my 0.5 millimeter Eclipse, this thing sounds like a windstorm. Same air, just much bigger opening for the air. So same thing. Yeah, nothing there. Feels like nothing there. DB Customs, what's up? Yay, Chris Garcia, what's happening, buddy? Yay. All right, don't forget, if you want a 543 and you can't wait for it, 20% off. You can avoid your tariffs. You can actually get reverse tariffs. You get 20% off. It's 20% less. They make wonderful gifts. They make wonderful Easter gifts. Put them in the Easter baskets. Patrick actually has both of the Easter images, or the Easter, the crazy zombie Easter bunny, and I also sent him the Hoppy Eastman painting from last year. So I don't know what I have left for Easter images specifically, but yeah. All right, so that's that. Next, before I get into doing this like the leaves and stuff, would you attempt some of that detail with pen and ink? Yeah, so Chris, it's the same kind of thing. If I did this area with just the pen, you know, like the micron, the other micron, this micron, you could do it. I mean, you could use this, and I'll do it a little bit here. This is archival ink right here in these Pigma micron pens. These are made by Sakura. You can't really see it, but it's Sakura that makes this. I've been using these forever. So the archival ink, you can clear over that very easily. So you can definitely use these in paintings. I sign all my paintings actually with these pens. But the same thing here. If I use this pen for all this stuff and not the airbrush, it's going to have a very sharp edged look to it. And you know, that's really not what I want, because it'll feel very unnatural. But what I'm doing right now is I'm just picking some of those corners in these little, you know, in between everything. And I'm just kind of sharpening some of them up to give, you know, to kind of clean up the lines that are running through this, and also fix any weirdness that's going on. And that will kind of make it a bridge between how sharp these things are, the ones I did with the paintbrush, and how soft these ones are with the airbrush. I want somewhere in between. Again, somewhere in between means it looks real. If I use too much of one or too much of the other, it's going to look a certain way. For instance, the same way, if I use the marker or the paintbrush for everything, I run the risk of having it look too sharp, and it vibrates, you know. If I use the airbrush too much, everything's too soft, and then it just seems out of focus, and it just looks like an airbrush painting. So I want kind of a little bit of both. All right, so the other thing I'm going to do too, in addition to kind of working some of the edges of these little triangles to straighten them out, is to jump back to this blue color. Oops, you can't see what I'm doing because I turned it off. There it is. I'm going to jump back to that same blue color that I put these lines in. And I can do the same thing. I can reclaim some of these lines that maybe got, you know, kind of a little bit too soft. Now, again, you would say, why don't you just paint that field black and then just paint the lines on top of it, for all the reasons we just said. If I do that, these lines now are incredibly sharp. And not only that, in this case, it doesn't matter because they need to be blue shifted anyway, but on the ones above in the light, they will shift to a blue. So if everything else up top, up here, like in here, is like warm, like kind of a yellowish warm color, and I just paint in all the white lines, all the lines here will be blue, all this other stuff will be this kind of warm yellow. What I'd have to do again is I'd have to add a little bit of orange or a little bit of yellow ochre to all the white to get it to be the right color. But then I'm still left with the problem of having them all be too sharp. You know what I mean? So this is kind of why I attack this the way I do. So I'm just going to kind of run through, not the whole line, just kind of pick some of the areas like in here where the things kind of fell apart because I had a little blowout. I just want to kind of reclaim that little area. Like, I don't want to just run through the whole thing because, again, you know, I'll end up with a bunch of really sharp lines that I don't want. I want to just kind of clean up where I need to clean up and let the fuzziness kind of stand in the other areas. Like so. And then I'm always constantly leaning back too, because like you guys are right on this thing right now. So if I lean back though with you guys, this is more what we're looking at. So there's my hand for scale, and you kind of get a better feel for whether everything is kind of gelling. Now, hopefully what you can see is this area here that I'm working on has a much bluer feel than this. And that's what we're looking for this, because this is ultimately going to be in shadow. So, oh, who's talking about food again? JC had homemade enchiladas. That sounds really good. And taco truck. I want taco trucks. I always said, and I think I said it in a open studio video, I'll know I like made it like as a successful business when I can afford to have like food trucks show up at the studio, like show up at the house just for me, That's going to be my splurge. That's going to be my big thing. It's like just have food trucks show up with like great barbecue and stuff like that. I know. You're thinking, why didn't I think of that? Or you're thinking, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And both of them would be right. All right. You can also see the difference between these two sides now. So this is just the airbrush, and this is pretty much done right now. It's got a little bit of both. The other part of this too, like some of these little diamonds kind of got, same thing, they got trashed in the other way. Meaning like this guy right here, you can't really even see him. So I'm going to go back in, and again, I don't want to just paint a diamond. I just want to kind of pick out some of the edges to clean them up while leaving some of the softness of the airbrushing. And again, and you just make the decision as you go. Some of the areas maybe I didn't hit hard enough, so I can add a little bit of black to them to kind of solidify them a bit. And that looks good. I want to finish this area here so I can work on this little bit here. I think that'll be a nice, demo. And then that way I can finish the one all the way down to like basically this wedge of this guy. Roberto, brother Robert, you have also won, and everyone needs to say happy birthday to Bob. His birthday just passed. Brother Robert won a painting as well. So I need to get with him, and I need to send a painting to him. All right, so again, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to run around some of these little diamond shapes and clean them up. Now, when I'm doing this too, I'm not so much, I am thinking about the diamond, but what I'm really concentrating on are the lines. I don't want to make these diamonds screw up the lines either. Focus you guys in a little bit better for that. Paint for food? Yeah, no kidding. When I was a young lad, right out of school, I was working for a if you play drums, there's a manufacturer of drumsticks, Vic Firth, and they were in Massachusetts. And I had a friend working there. When I got out of college, I was on track to get married, and I needed a instant job, and I ended up going to work for them, and doing nothing incredibly, artistic. But still, it was a job, and it paid the bills and whatever. But anyway, they were big enough that they had a food truck show up every day, and that is what began my love of food trucks. Like at first, I'm like, I'm not eating food off a truck. That's gross. But this particular one was a very good one. The couple that owned it would get up, 4 a.m. and make all the food on the truck. It wasn't like it was like prepackaged garbage. They were legit, and that food was some of the best stuff. It was really good, and so ever since then I like seek out good food trucks. Ribeyes, what? See, I love ribeyes. That's good. All right, so I've got the black done. See, it doesn't take very long. You would think that this method takes 3 times longer, but it really doesn't, because I'm not repainting everything. You know what I mean? I'm just cleaning up a little bit. And, again, it's not even like the whole like every single line is redone or every single diamond is redone. It's just different areas of them to kind of clean bits and pieces of them up, just to kind of make them make sense where they're sitting. Because the whole deal with me is, I want someone to look at this and just see the bills. You know what I mean? In the end, like, I'll back you out again. You know what they are because of the details that your brain kind of all smushes together. You know what I mean? Like, no one looks at a bill, no matter what country you live in. And if I said to someone, okay, draw me a dollar bill or draw me an English pound or whatever else, whatever other paper money you got, people can do a rough sketch of it, but they never really get the details right. Certainly not the etching part of the details, but even the placement of stuff. Because we don't look at things that way. Your brain takes in all that detail and then smushes it into one word, and then that's it. So what I want to get out of these paintings is exactly the same thing. Like, I want someone to look at it and say, oh, that's a bill. If they want to get into it, if they're drawn into it, which is my goal, then they get to see everything. And then they slow down and they really can take it all in. But I want to be able to walk by it and immediately know what it is and immediately be taken to exactly where I was when I took the photograph, when I was there. So that's the kind of rough idea behind all that. Apollo 145. What's up? I know who Apollo is. I will leave it up to Apollo to dox himself if he chooses. And yes, if you have a YouTube name and you prefer to remain as your screen name, I will certainly honor that, if I even know who you are. And don't feel like you have to spill the beans, so to speak. All right, so that area right there is done too. Apollo has landed. Yes. Oh, there we go. Colin already doxed himself. So there you go. So that is my amazing eldest son. Ian. I know, right? Gold doubloon. Max, that's a great suggestion. You guys are awesome. What time is it? Yeah, it is 7 o'clock. Here's the thing too. I'm going to switch back to we got to do some giveaways now. I was working on this all day, and normally what I do on Mondays, because of the feed, I'll spend the front end of the morning, all the way pretty much up to lunch, getting things ready. So again, writing all the descriptions, doing all the research on all the 543s, getting, all the images done and all that fun stuff, loading it on the website. But because I didn't have to do that, I was able to work on this guy all day. But normally what I do is I work up to about 4 o'clock, and then I take a break and just kind of chill out so that I have a couple hours to maybe grab something to eat, which I never do, or to just kind of decompress before the feed. So I had fully planned to do that today. I was just going to work on this. So I'm going, and then I'm like, okay, I should take a break. It's probably about 2 o'clock. I look at the clock and it's 5:15, and I'm like, so that's what these paintings do to me. They're, like I said, I call them art therapy all the time, and they really are. They really are. So let's switch to this one. I would show you all 3 of them, but there are no 3 to show. We'll get back on that next week. But again, we are giving one away, so you'll be able to, oh, what did I do? There we go. So you'll be able to pick from all those. All right. And I think I lost, we're still live, right? Hold on. Yeah, we're still live. I think we're still live. I hope we're still live. Yeah, we are. All right, I lost my crap there for a second, but we're good. Let's switch to this one. No, not that one, but that is the code. So if you don't win tonight and you want to grab a 543, don't forget, type in that code, get you 20% off any 543 on the website, any of them. Just type it in and you're ready to go. But that's not what I wanted. I wanted this one. We have 22 people on the list. I neglected to show you the list first, which I like to do, just so we know there's no shenanigans going on. So I'll give you the Star Wars roll. You notice Kyle is not on the list because Kyle already won, which is fun. All right, and I keep doing that. I keep pressing the wrong button. Yeah, that's it. Chris got it. You just kind of get sucked in, and then that's it. I love it. All righty. So your winner tonight is number 16. Yay! Where is my camera? There we go. Number 16 is your friend and mine, Bobby, Raffin Customs. So congratulations, Bobby. You won this week. So again, Bob, you can go onto the website. You can go onto the website and peruse the 543s and pick one you want. And then just send me a message on any social media, or you can email me through the website, my website, and let me know which one you want. Again, I have noticed a rash of me forgetting to take paintings down that people have already won. So if I send you an email back and say that it's already been taken, please don't get too upset with me. You can just pick another one. So congratulations, Bobby. That's awesome. All right. Let me make a note of that so I know. And again, all the points are being compiled as we go. First, once you hit 80 points, you get a painting. You just get one, and I will let you know that. And I still have to get on the call. And actually, I got to touch base with you because I need to find a way to post the picture of the graph. So I'll touch base with you, Call, when we get a second. And the other thing I need to do is I need to go through the Facebook points and London Pen, thank you. Welcome to What Could Go Wrong. I got to what was I saying? Oh, I'm going to I'll jump to this one. I'm going to go through the Facebook points where we left off with Facebook, because a lot of you accrued a lot of points in Facebook. I can't bring them over because there's no way to do that without screwing everything up. But what I was thinking about doing is figuring a percentage threshold. And if you pass that threshold, you're going to win a painting through Facebook anyway. So I just got to sort that out. Some of you did. So I'll figure that out. Let's jump back to it. Yay. 2 paintings tonight. Oh, Patrick, you're amazing. Ha! Pat knows what's up because he's paying attention and Steve's not. So what could go wrong? Let's give away another one, because I had Mr. Anderson on the list last week and he won on the 20th. Your next one is 19. No, 19. And this is my Scottish friend, Poco Cali Customs. Poco, you're here. You won. Congratulations. Yeah, JC, if you get to whatever that is, 100 billion milli vanilli, yeah, you get paintings for life. I identify as having 80 points. Nice, Kyle. So congratulations, Poco, if you're on. And I've been talking back and forth with you, so I will get a hold of you, or you can get a hold of me. Just jump online. And like I said before, it doesn't matter if you are not in the U.S. That's not how we play this game. You still win. I will still send you a painting. You do not have to pay for shipping. I will do that. You just have to be in a country that the United States Postal Service will deliver to. If you are in one of the few countries that they cannot get stuff to, then I cannot help you there. So here we go. All right, so Tim, the United States Post Office does not ship to New Jersey, so you would be out of luck. Sorry about that. Pogo, awesome, man. All right, cool. Let's paint some more stuff. Again, I think I mentioned it. This painting, I'm targeting this painting for Ashtabula's big painting show, their juried exhibit they have every year. The call for entry isn't out yet, which is really good because I'm kind of nervous that it's gonna have a really short opening, like a short window to get your stuff in, and this painting isn't going to be done yet, which is why I've kind of turn the kind of gas up on this one to get it done. But I'm really excited about it. It's an extremely prestigious show to get into. Just to get into it, to win it, they have one of the larger prizes, which it's always nice to. It's an amazing honor to get into a juried show, but it's also crazy nice to win. And this one, ooh, that's not what I wanted. I'll switch that. They offer the first prize is a good chunk of change, which is always nice. So. Oh no. What did I miss? Oh, it goes to New Jersey, not Newark. Okay, yeah. No mail to Newark. Sorry. No, I love Tim. Tim is the best. That's why I can poke at New Jersey. All right. This is not the brush I want to use. What happened to the brush I want to use? I dropped it on the floor, didn't I? Because I'm always dropping stuff on the floor. All right. Well, no, here it is right here. Okay. All right. So the same thing with the one. See how kind of ragged this is? This is good. It's supposed to be ragged, but not that ragged. So I want to kind of clean that up a little bit. This painting is all, again, I say the Tokyo painting is back and forth. This one is back and forth, but is not as much. But there is still an element of that. Like here, the line kind of trailed out a little bit too much. It got too ragged. So there are a bunch of tools that we can use to kind of solve different problems. The paintbrush is one, the eraser is another one, the knife is another one. And what I do is I kind of just look at, what tool is just going to kind of get me to the finish line on the, solving the problem that's kind of at hand. And for this, to kind of clean this up a little bit, but not, strip it out or have to repaint it, the eraser can do that very well. Again, it can't do everything, so I got to rely on other tools, but that's why we have all the tools. So that looks good. Coming to Pittsburgh and Ohio this weekend. Do you have an art gallery, Steve? Kyle! There is a gallery that my art is in, and it's in Lisbon. So, yeah, it's in downtown Lisbon, Ohio, which is about. I'm trying to think. It's northeast Ohio. It's heading more towards well, I could look it up. I'm trying to think of how far away it is. We're from the house right now. We're about an hour and 15 minutes from Pittsburgh. Lisbon's probably a little bit closer, but it's also farther south. And what I'm doing is I just grabbed the black with the paintbrush, and I'm just kind of, again, I'm going in and cleaning up a few things that need to go the opposite way. Where the eraser took them out, the black paint that I'm putting in now is I'm using it the same way, but on the opposite side to just kind of strengthen some things that got a little bit too fuzzy and need to be cleaned up. So the name of the gallery, Kyle, is Source Gallery, the Source Gallery, and they're right in Lisbon Center, which Lisbon's a very quaint 1800s town. They're doing a lot to kind of revitalize the downtown. One of the county courthouses is there, so a lot of people do go there. But it's typical Ohio Rust Belty kind of stuff where the towns were very, very boomy when the steel mills were going, and then kind of just trailed off when all that business died. But Lisbon is very quaint. They're doing a good job at bringing a lot of stuff back in. There aren't a lot of factories there, say Youngstown, but you can, it's still, again, it's typical where a lot of the as the economy kind of changed and the rail lines changed, that what made a town popular or big kind of got lost in the mix. So Lisbon's coming back. I love the place, And the owners of the gallery, or the owner of the gallery, Mark Hamilton, is just a great guy. So I met him, and we hit it off, and ever since then I've had artwork in his gallery. So from a public standpoint, I know it's a super long answer to your question, but publicly, yeah, you can just go to Source Gallery, and he has a lot of work from me. He also has 543s too. So there are some that are not on my website that he has, and you can check that out there too. So yeah. All right. How we doing here? Good. And this line here, as I'm kind of adjusting it and moving it and cleaning it up, again, like the Micron pen would leave a very clean line here. I mean, yeah, you can adjust it by moving it around like the paintbrush, but the paintbrush can give me more variation in that line, from a super sharp point to kind of a wider line by how hard I push. The pen doesn't really have that. The pen is just kind of what it is, and then you adjust it by, kind of using different sides of it, but it still pretty much gives you a similar feel or a similar line. So again, there's a tool for everything, and it's whatever you're really comfortable with. What else did I do? See if he's ever trying to get a specific gallery. What was that gallery again? Pat, I don't, well, the gallery I might have mentioned that you guys might have heard me talk about was Mizell, the Mizell Gallery in New York. Louis Mizell was the originator, or he came up with the term photorealism back in the 70s, and he represented a lot of the most amazing photorealistic artists, like Chuck Close, when Chuck was doing his photorealistic portraits, Audrey Flack, Richard Estes, just anyone who was really, really known in that genre of painting, that photorealistic type of painting. Louis Mizell, his gallery represented everyone like that. And they really do still, have the best collection of photorealistic art. I always thought it would be amazing to have my art in his gallery, and I got the most amazing email back from him, but that never happened. So that was probably the gallery you're talking about. As far as what gallery I would like to be in, the jury's out on that. I have to find the perfect gallery for me, one that understands what I do and is aggressively pushing my stuff. Again, Mark is amazing, and I love having my stuff there, but he also has a lot of different artists, and he's juggling a lot. So ultimately, the gallery that I get into, as far as someone who's going to really represent my art and push that from a sales standpoint, I'm still kind of trying to figure out which gallery would be the best for that. It's going to be a gallery in New York or Los Angeles. I'm kind of going to just kind of go for the larger hit. But I still feel like I have some things I need to do first before I'm in a position where I can get into the type of gallery that I really, really want. So that involves getting into shows like Ashta Beulah, this really prestigious thing. Or when I got into the mid-year and then subsequently won an award here in Ohio at the Butler. That's an extremely prestigious type of show. You get into that show, and that means a lot. So I need a few more of those under my belt, the big, big, big shows. So yeah, that's, again, the long answer for that. 40 North Park Ave. Kyle, that sounds right. Yeah, it's Source Gallery in Lisbon, Ohio. So yeah, they have a lot of the landscapes that I do. They don't have a lot of car paintings because I wanted to kind of keep it in the vibe of what they have there. So yeah, so a lot of the Cape Cod landscapes are there, which is nice. Yeah. All right. So I just kind of ran around the number one. But again, you kind of see how this is working. What I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to add a little bit of airbrushing here. I would normally take the paintbrush and then clean up all the details on this filigree here as well. See how this is real soft? I would go in and add the details in that, but I'm not going to do that because what I want to do is I want to kind of add the airbrushing to this section here so you can kind of see it come together a little bit without spending too much time on the same, same thing over and over again. All right, so there is a wonderful soft fold right here that goes across the one. So I'm going to start with that. And again, the airbrush does this probably better than any other tool I've seen. And for me, I want to clarify that. Tim is an amazing pastel artist. So Tim can get pastels to do this. An amazing watercolorist can get watercolors to do this. An amazing oil painter can get oil paints to do this. But for me, this is the to get acrylic paints to do this, the airbrush works the best for me. So that's what I want to make sure you guys are taking away from that. It isn't always, like there isn't like, oh my gosh, this is the best way to do this ever. And if you don't do it this way, you're a fool. The only one who says that is a fool. So yeah, if you're kind of learning and getting into this stuff, know that it's more about you than the tool. It's what's going to work best for you to get you where you want to get your painting to. And for me, like I said, it was airbrush. I love the way that it worked, and I loved the art that I was seeing that it was made with an airbrush, and I'm like, that's the feeling I want to get in my stuff, and that's how I landed on it. Again, people have different aesthetics, they have different feelings about, how they get their art done, and it's going to change what you use, All right, so now that I've got that fold in there, I can kind of jump down to the back side. There's another little great fold that's in this. Behind the scenes kind of thing, I crumpled these bills so many times to get them the way I wanted to, because I wanted it kind of random and organic, but I also wanted them in a certain way, which sounds weird, but that's what happened with them. I had to I just kept crumpling them and kept tossing them on the desk until, it looked the way I needed them to look. All right, so before, remember I said I put the brakes on putting the darker areas around these filigrees, these shadows, because I wanted to get all this line work done first. It doesn't make any sense to put the shadows in and then have to go do those lines on, and have to put them in all over again. And again, those shadows follow through these lines. So again, I wouldn't put these shadows in and then try to paint the lines in, because it would be a waste of time. I'd have to redo everything, Yeah, we'll do this the number one here in this bottom section, and then I'll do the details on this, and I think that'll be a good place to stop, because that way you'll kind of see how it came together. And yeah, because I still got to do, like I said, I got to do all this filigree, but you're getting the idea. And I will back this out again too, so you can see the whole effect. All right, now here's these. You would think the lines are the detail part, but they're not. They're not. This is the detail part. So the detail part are the highlights that come in at the end. Like the way the camera works, it overcompensates a little bit. So when you have a dark line, sometimes you'll have a lighter highlight on the other side of that dark line, and it's nearly imperceptible. Like, unless you really were studying the photo, you would miss this kind of stuff. And I'm going to show you another example of that in a second, that I've already done. So like on the other side of this line, there are some really very, very subtle highlights almost. Like in the bill here, in the point of the one, for some reason, the way the camera caught it, there's a lighter like edge on the front of this one. I'm using the same blue, by the way. There is some areas where I would use orange in this, but again, I'm not going to be able to get to those parts tonight with you guys, but it would be the same thing. I would look at the highlight, determine whether it's a bluish highlight or, in this painting's case, an orangish highlight. And then I would, adjust accordingly. This is really kind of a dry brush technique, so that I'm kind of putting this lighter highlight in with not a lot of liquid on there. I haven't finished the filigrees yet, but these little branches here along this edge have the same kind of highlight. And it's not because they're etched in. It's not like there's a real highlight there, but the way that the photograph works, that's just kind of the way that it pops out. And again, on the back side of this. More. That whole one is darker too, which I'm not going to do right now, but you get the idea. So those little details really are what kind of pulls this together. I'll show you another good one too. And this is really it seems like it's just something that I made up, but it's not. It's really in the photograph, and it's a trick that will help break things away. Like, let me see if I can focus this. Oh no, bug. Oh no, what did JC do? Oh no. All right. I'm gonna have to go back in. I hope Bug didn't have a blowout. Oh boy. All right. If you notice right on the edge of this, see that dark brown line that runs along the highlighted edge of this? So that's really in the photograph. It's really hard to tell. And when I back out, you won't be able to see that. But he asked for it, did he? Oh, God. So let me, I'm going to move some things so I can turn this a little bit. We love JC. I don't know what JC could have said. I'm going to move this camera here. And I'm going to move the lights and everything. These put a really weird, extra gloss on the thing. But I'm going to turn you guys so this is more towards the painting. So what I can immediately see, and this camera up here, this one here has kind of a greenish cast to it, so excuse that. But what I can still tell, though, is this area here is a little bit too light, and maybe because I just didn't hit it. But all those are adjustments that I'll end up getting as we go. So what I want to make sure is that I don't kind of do do too much of this. It's purely experimental. Nice. I don't want to get too much into this one section. This is why I kind of work whole areas at the same time. If you watch the time lapse, it's this whole triangle right here. So I try to pick areas that I can kind of divide up, and that way I can push them all together just to make sure. But, this shadow back here is really dark, and it's going to, kind of go with the whole thing. So I'll push this whole section. Where is it? It would be out to about here. This whole triangle is going to be the next thing to go, and I'll do the whole thing. But you kind of get the idea. So what I want you to do is take a mental snapshot of this, because when you see it next time, hopefully the whole bill will be done. But I want you to be able to kind of refocus in on this and then see how it all kind of ties in, together. But that's what we got. That's where we're at. It's hard to say how long this painting is going to take. I've got a lot of hours into it already, and it's going to take a while. But again, it's going to be done when it's done. If it makes Ashtabula, that's great. If it doesn't, that sucks, but it's okay. I do have two more big paintings that I have to get done for this year. They're fortunately not due till the end of the year, so I do have time for that. But we'll see. We'll see how those go. So I'm going to burn this thing down, and there is a slight chance that I won't do 543s next week either. We're still going to give away paintings. That's always going to be the case no matter what. So we're still going to give them away, but I'm going to do my best to take your suggestions and do those 3 for next week. And again, if I don't, we're still going to give one away, so we're good. We're not going to work on this next week, I promise. We've had it 2 weeks in a row. I think that's probably good. You guys get a good idea of how that works. So I'll have a fun thing to do with you guys next week for sure. And that's what I got. So if you didn't get enough abuse, You can come back and hang out with us on Wednesday night for the Tokyo painting. Normally there'd be a time-lapse video tomorrow, but I forgot to schedule it and it went up live right away. So there's a time-lapse video up right now, and that's what I got. So congratulations to our winners. You guys can send me messages. There's no immediate rush to pick anything because there aren't any new ones. So that's good. So congratulations, guys. And that's what I got. So have a wonderful week. Go buy 543s. Put in that tariff code and get your non-tariff. Get your 20% off. And buy them all up so I don't have to have a box of them anymore. That would be fantastic. All right. Love you guys. You guys are great. Be good to one another. Don't let Dave ban you. And I will catch you guys next week. Thanks a lot.